The drummer for the Beatles, Ringo Starr, has forged an incredible career for himself and left a lasting impression on the world stage. Starr has experienced greatness as a member of the most renowned band in the world, as well as personal tragedy, success, and resilience. He has, nevertheless, harbored a great deal of secrets. Ringo, who is 83 years old, has disclosed why the Beatles disbanded and how the band didn't get along. Join us as we explore the life of the legendary figure. A Beatles story tucked away behind the scenes of success. As the most influential band in history, the Beatles are generally regarded for their pivotal role in the counterculture of the 1960s and their ability to elevate popular music to the status of an art form. Its sound evolved to incorporate elements of classical music and traditional pop, but its roots remained in 1950s rock and roll, skiffle, and beat. The Beatles revolutionized many facets of the music industry and were frequently regarded as leaders of the youth and socio-cultural movements of their time. They were also trailblazers in recording, songwriting, and artistic presentation. When their first song, Love Me Do, was released in late 1962, their spectacular journey to stardom started. They were referred to as the Fab Four with affection as Beatlemania spread over the world. The Beatles became global superstars by the beginning of 1964, driving Britain's cultural comeback and its conquest of the American pop scene. But the band's ambition to improve their studio work combined with the difficulties of touring caused them to call it quits on live concerts in 1966. Their most sophisticated albums were recorded during this time, such as Rubber Soul, Revolver, and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which were commercial hits and helped to define the album era. They established AppleCore, a multimedia company, in 1968 that is in charge of managing their legacy today. All of the main members of the group achieved success as solo musicians after their split in 1970, with sporadic partial reunions. George Harrison passed away from lung cancer in 2001, and John Lennon was sadly killed in 1980. The Beatles' reconciler, Ringo Starr, has been open about the underlying conflicts among the group. He has disclosed that the band's dynamic was not at all like the perfect picture that is frequently painted, and that the Get Back initiative, which was supposed to bring the band back to its origins, served instead to emphasize its discord. The last recording session with all four Beatles took place on August 20, 1969, coinciding with the release of the Abbey Road album. A photo shoot took place at John Lennon's Tittenhurst estate 2 days later. John Lennon and Paul McCartney created the renowned band The Beatles in the 1960s. The band never entirely got back together despite their early disagreements, though they would occasionally work together on songs like Harrison's All Those Years Ago in 1981 and I'm the Greatest in 1973. Following Lennon's murder in 1980, the remaining Beatles reunited in 1994 for the Anthology Project, collaborating on new songs based on unfinished Lennon tapes. The Beatles' drummer, Ringo Starr, admitted that the group experienced serious arguments when they were at their best. He admitted that, as four guys with disagreements, they did not get along. But once they started playing, these disagreements never got in the way of their song. Everything changed to concentrate on their performance, emphasizing the difficulties they had as their lives grew more complicated and highlighting Paul McCartney's efforts in particular. A major factor in the Beatles' popularity was their prodigious production, which produced 12 studio albums between 1963 and 1970. The Beatles persevered in making music in spite of their personal conflicts, attaining unheard-of popularity and topping the all-time sales charts. The tale of Ringo Starr demonstrates how the band's capacity to create innovative music did not wane. On July 7, 1940, Starr was born Richard Starkey in Liverpool's working-class Dingle neighborhood. Before their son Richie was born, his parents would frequently spend their free time dancing and enjoying music at the neighborhood ballroom scene. Even with such a turbulent background, Starr turned to music for inspiration and comfort. He was a gifted artist and dramatist at Dingle Vale Secondary Modern School and St. Silas Primary School. He got an apprenticeship at Henry Hunt and Son in 1956, when he was introduced to skiffle music by Roy Trafford. Both his musical growth and the band's commercial appeal were influenced by this encounter. An early 1960s phenomenon was the Liverpool band Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. The drummer Starr eventually accepted the Beatles' invitation after first turning down a coveted residency in Hamburg. Starr first got to know the Beatles in Hamburg, where they were paid more and given first billing. On October 15, 1960, he made his debut recording with the Beatles, appearing with them on sporadic stand-in engagements. Starr left Rory Storm and the Hurricanes in 1962 to become a member of the Beatles, John Lennon's band. But after Brian Epstein, the Beatles' manager, fired drummer Pete Best, Starr gave his first performance as a member of the band. When the Beatles recorded their debut single, Love Me Do, and its B-side P.S. In September 1962, Starr was replaced by Andy White. This was Starr's first recording session with the band. Starr's quarter share of Beatles Limited, which was financed by the band's concert revenue, provided the majority of his income. He lived in nightclubs for 3 years, having a non-stop party lifestyle. Starr served as the inspiration for multiple songs written by the Beatles during the height of their British fame in 1963. With its large Ludwig emblem, Starr's import bass drum from America generated a lot of press for the brand. He was voted most memorable character in A Hard Day's Night by Melody Maker. After being admitted to the hospital in 1964 due to a severe fever, tonsillitis and pharyngitis, Starr adopted the defensive technique of holding his cymbals vertically. The Beatles' performances were impacted by the ongoing pressure. Ringo Starr saw that the band was losing their groove and becoming bad musicians as a result. He also began to feel more and more cut off from the band's artistic endeavors as they delved into new musical spheres that frequently didn't need his contribution. Yellow Submarine was included on the Beatles' 8th UK album, Revolver, which was released in 1966. The band's final performance in Candlestick Park, San Francisco, marked the end of Starr's tenure with them. After relocating to Sunny Heights in Weybridge, Surrey, close to Lennon, Starr contributed lead vocals on the 1967 album With a Little Help from My Friends by Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Nevertheless, Starr felt more cut off from the band as a result of the extended recording sessions. When the Beatles left on the disastrous Magical Mystery Tour in 1967, Starr became the first Beatle to perform alone on another artist's gig. When Apple Records released the White Album in November 1968, Starr's early life experiences had an impact on his time in India. As the band's relationship broke down, Starr temporarily left the Beatles during a challenging session for the White Album. August 1969 saw the Beatles' last meeting at Abbey Road Studios, and McCartney made his exit announcement in April 1970. In the UK and the US, Ringo, Starr's debut rock album, peaked at number 7 and number 22 respectively. Good Night Vienna and Ringo's Road Graver, his next albums, saw some success but a drop in sales. In 1979, Starr experienced health concerns and had surgery for digestive troubles resulting from a childhood case of peritonitis. In 1976, he made a guest appearance at the band's farewell concert while pursuing his musical career. In 1988, Starr concentrated on reviving his music career while pursuing alcoholism treatment in Tucson, Arizona. In 1989, he released Ringo Starr and his All-Star Band, and in 1997, he and McCartney worked together on Flaming Pie. Starr was admitted into the Hall of Fame of the Percussive Arts Society in 2002. On the first anniversary of George Harrison's death, he took part in Harrison's concert. George Harrison paid homage to the Beatles with Ringo-Rama, which was released in 2003. Along with Mark Hudson, he co-founded Pumpkinhead Records. In 2006, he and McCartney got back together for the Change Begins Within benefit event. In 2010 and 2012, Starr released albums including Why Not and Ringo, which furthered his musical career. He started going on tours. He and his All-Star Band did the Pacific Rim Tour. He sang Queenie I during his 2014 Grammy Awards performance. Starr declared his plan to resume touring with his band in February 2022 after releasing the EP Change the World in 2021. However, a number of gigs were cancelled because band members had COVID-19 instances. A spring tour with the All-Star Band and additional fall tour dates were announced by Starr in January 2023. In October 2023, he released another EP titled Rewind Forward, capping off this whirlwind of activity. Starr's personal journey started when he wed hairdresser Maureen Cox in 1965. Their marriage lasted until their divorce in 1975. Maureen's life was tragically taken in 1994 due to leukemia. Following a personal loss, Starr fell in love once more with actress Barbara Bach, whom he had met while working on the Caveman movie set in 1980. In Surrey, England, they were in a potentially fatal vehicle accident, but they escaped with only minor injuries. A new chapter in their lives began with their marriage, one that was defined by shared houses in Monte Carlo, Los Angeles, and Sussex. Starr and Bach put their personal belongings up for auction in Los Angeles in December 2015, demonstrating their dedication to philanthropy. Over $9 million of the revenues went to the Lotus Foundation, a non-profit established by Starr and Bach. In addition, Starr practices regular meditation and vegetarianism, living up to his slogan and life motto of peace and love. So viewers, for the next update please subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.